Hi, it's Michael Mann from Michael Mann Security Services, and if you're a church security team member that volunteers on Sunday and your church allows you to be armed, or if you're just a mom or dad with a concealed weapons permit and you want to know what equipment to buy for your handgun, this is the video for you. So, before we get started, remember, anytime firearms are involved in anything, we want to follow the four rules of firearm safety. Number one, all guns are always loaded. Number two, never let the muzzle cover anything we're not willing to destroy. Number three, keep your trigger finger straight till our sights are on target and we're prepared to shoot. And of course, number four, always be sure of your target or our target. So, just real quick, no live firearms are going to be involved in this presentation. You're going to see a blue inert weapon. That's the only thing that I have on me today for safety. So everything is safe. There's nothing live or anything that can harm you or anybody inside this space today. All right, so let's get started on support equipment. What is support equipment? What does that mean? Support equipment for your handgun is going to be anything that supports the handgun. So today, very specifically, we're going to talk about four things. We're going to talk about the holster. We're going to talk about a belt, a magazine pouch, and your magazine. So let's get started very quickly. Take 5 minutes of your time. So let's talk about the holster. Handgun holsters very quickly. We want them to be made out of material that's going to last a long time and it's very durable. I am a fan of both, very specifically for concealed carry, I like Kydex or plastic, and I like leather holsters. The second element I like in the holster, or something that I look for in a holster, is the holster should be molded, pre-molded for the handgun that you're going to wear. And you can see here what that means is whenever I take the handgun out of the holster, it's going to stay in place. I don't have to do anything with the holster, open it back up with my hand to put the handgun back inside. What that does is, number one, that makes presentation of the gun efficient. And it also makes, when I bring the pistol back inside the holster, it's going to be safe. So I don't have to use my hand and cover my hand with the muzzle of the pistol when I go back into the holster. So I like to have the holster pre-molded there so it fits the pistol. Another issue that I like, or another element with the holster, is going to be I want it to be made for the pistol that I'm carrying. Now, you can go to your local sporting goods store. You can get universal holsters. You've seen those. They're made out of nylon. They're supposed to fit any handgun on the market. If it's not made for your gun, please do not purchase it. It's not going to be worth your while. So make sure that the holster that you're going to be wearing is going to be made for the handgun that you're carrying. The other issue, or the other element I like with the holster, is it's attached to a belt. There are a number of ways to carry a handgun. I will tell you, in my 32 years of experience with both training, deploying handguns, and with teaching, a belt-mounted holster has worked best for me and the majority of the students that I've dealt with and people that I've worked with. So I like it to be mounted to the belt. This is an inside the waistband holster, which means it goes inside the waistband. There are outside the waistband holsters also. I like inside the waistband because it conceals the handgun. But again, I don't care if it's outside the waistband or inside. It's going to be much better if that mounts to your belt. And the reason for that, as you can see, it's not going to move around. So if I have to deploy or present the handgun, it's going to be much easier for me to do that. So just some basic things about the holster. It's got to be durable. I like for it to be molded for the handgun, made for the handgun that you're going to wear. And of course, it needs to be mounted to the belt. The one last thing about the holster that I really like, or the holster maybe that you should look for, is that it covers up the trigger guard of the handgun. So this is the trigger guard of the pistol itself, or the handgun. I need that trigger guard to go inside that holster, and the holster covers it up. That way, there's nothing's going to get caught inside the trigger guard and inadvertently come into contact with that trigger, so it makes it safe. So that's what I like about holsters. The next piece of support equipment we're going to talk about is the belt. When we start talking about belts, it doesn't matter if it's nylon. I don't care if it's leather. A couple things I want to talk to you about the belt is it's sturdy. So it's going to last a long time. It's going to support the pistol and the holster that you're going to wear. The next thing is I want to make sure that the actual width of the belt is going to work with the holster itself, so this doesn't move around. So not only am I securing the holster of the belt, but the belt's not going to move, or the holster's not going to move when I've got it clamped on, so that's going to keep it steady and secure. Make sure also that you can buckle the belt up, whether it's a standard buckle like this or something that's going to hold the belt in place so you don't have to worry, again, you don't have to worry about the belt moving around. Again, leather or nylon works for me. There are also leather belts that have Kydex inside of them. Either way, something that's going to be sturdy. Just kind of a basic guideline to use for both belts and holsters, very specifically holsters. Probably about 10% of the cost of your handgun. So if you're going to buy a Glock 19 pistol, that pistol runs about $550. You can bet that a really decent, the beginning price for a decent holster is going to be about $50 to $60, and the belt's going to start at the same price. Our next element or piece of safety or handgun equipment is going to be the magazine pouch. Magazine pouch, very similar to the holster. It's going to have to be material, or I like it to be material that's going to be that's going to last a long time. It's durable. It needs to be molded for the magazine, so that way I don't have to use my other hand to try to open the magazine pouch up as I try to put the magazine pouch back in. I like for it to be belt mounted so it's sturdy. It's not going to move when I try to put the magazine back in the magazine pouch. And I just want it to last a long time. And as you can notice here, this is belt mounted. It doesn't move around. The last thing we're going to talk about is the magazine. So as you buy extra magazines for your handguns, I would suggest that you buy factory magazines. So if you've got a Glock 19 or a Glock 21, buy Glock magazines. Got a Smith & Wesson M&P, same thing, buy a Smith & Wesson mag. The only exception to that is going to be the 1911 handguns or the clones. I suggest if you've got a 1911 clone like a Kimber, Springfield Armory, Smith & Wesson, I would suggest some after-market magazines. Very specifically, I like Trip Industries and Wilson Combat. That's all for today. Hope you learned something about support equipment. If you have any specific questions, you can contact us at contact@michaelmannsecurityservices.com. You can send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And remember, it's about prevention, not response.